From the twisted practice of bride kidnapping to ancient martial art rituals of Divas, and from the animal-respecting macabre vegetarian festival to the death ritual of Taraja. Although formed during ancient times, these rituals are still practiced today. Some of these rituals are extremely harmful, while others are simply fun and entertaining to watch. In our video today, we take a look at some ancient rituals still practiced by the modern man. Let's begin with the famous ritual of Ashura. Number 7. Ashura bloodletting. The first 10 days of Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar, are not for the faint of heart. They are perhaps one of the most fascinating and evocative rites in the world. Imam Hussein ibn Ali, a Shiite hero and now martyr, was brutally slain on October 10, 690 AD at Karbala, Iraq. He is still mourned by the Shiite people of Shia Islam. Millions of his supporters march through the streets in depressing parades of self-flagellation, sad chanting, and emotional outbursts. Mourners sob, cry, chant, and frequently lash, cut, and score themselves to express their sorrow for Hussein and grief for their physical absence during his murder. Hussein's shrine and grave are in Iraq, but Shiite Muslims all around the world, notably in Iran and Iraq, commemorate their fallen hero for 10 days each year. No music is to be played, no festivities are to be held, and no outward displays of enjoyment are to be displayed in public during this period. Muharram sorrow, on the other hand, has a lighter side. The 10-day rites culminate in Ashura, the last day of feasting and communal support, when people from all across the area exchange meals with one another to break the lengthy fast. There is no age limit for engaging in the ceremony. Therefore, both children and adults can participate. Shia Muslims have a famous saying that, quote, "A single tear shed for Hussein takes away 100 sins." Number 6. Senzieni. Senzieni Lear is observed on June 24th to commemorate the summer solstice. According to Senzieni folklore, the most attractive maidens in the hamlet would dress in white, select flowers, a unique Romanian flower known as Senzien, and braid floral crowns. The gorgeous woman would gather at night and dance around a bonfire. Each flower crown would be tossed onto the rooftops of the people at daybreak. The owners of the house will benefit from health, riches, and happiness if the crown stays in place. The damsel will find her husband that year if the crown enters the house through the entrance or window. However, there are numerous variants of these customs. For example, in some regions of the nation, maidens may put the flowers beneath their pillows in the hopes that their wishes will be granted. Another traditional story about these beautiful Romanian women is that on Senzieni Eve night, there is a high possibility for magical spells. Thus, one should grow a lot of herbs and flowers to get magical abilities. It's also the night when animals can communicate, and if you listen attentively, you may learn a lot, but not without a cost. In order to hear these truths, one may have to give up his sanity, sight, or hearing. According to Romanian custom, if you hear your name called on Senzieni Eve night, you should close your eyes and cover your ears to indicate the enchanted fairies that you are not interested. Number 5. Ancient martial art of Divas. Do you like superheroes? In Banten, you could just get to meet one. Divas is a martial art that originated in Banten and focused on pain tolerance development, particularly self-inflicted stabbing. The performer, known as Jawara, is stabbed with a sword, slashed with a knife, and even has spears pierce his abdomen. Eating fire, swallowing glass, and putting needles into various bodily areas are among the other mind-boggling skills. These activities are said to leave no evidence of injury or harm. They think they will be unscathed since they are performing a sacrifice to their god. As astonishing as this degree of pain tolerance may be, there is nothing supernatural or genuinely superhuman about it. It just implies that the individual has an incredible level of pain tolerance. Thus, Divas entails not only physical training, but also rigorous mental training. Near superhuman inner power, pain tolerance, and years of practice are required to master this martial art. Divas, according to several reports, initially appeared in the 16th century as a tool for spreading Islam. Later, under Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa's rule in the 17th century, This martial technique was employed to increase military morale against the Dutch colonial powers of the period, and Divas is still very much in use today. However, no matter how fascinated or inquisitive you are, we highly warn you not to try this at home. Number 4. The Ritual of Tiwa. Would you be able to dig up your deceased and buried family member if you had to for some unavoidable reason? The Dayak tribe of Kalimantan is compelled to complete this arduous ceremony. Death is only a transfer from this realm to the next for the Dayak. This change, however, is only feasible after a Tiwa. Tiwa is designed to transport the deceased spirit to the hereafter by transporting what remains of the corpse, typically only the bones, to a sacred site known as Sandong. There is no set time for the family to do Tiwa. Because a Tiwa ceremony takes extensive planning and large financial support, this ritual can be performed at any moment, dependent on the preparedness of the deceased's relatives. Tiwa is also used to ward off bad luck and to express respect and devotion to one's ancestors. On the other hand, the locals think that if a Tiwa is not properly observed, the spirit of the deceased would curse the family and bring disaster to its relatives. The Tiwa ceremony is practiced in a number of communities in central Kalimantan. A major Tiwa celebration, on the other hand, is celebrated every year in Tumbang Mangu village, Sanaman Mantike, Katingan Regency, central Kalimantan. When visiting this location, it is strongly advised to hire a guide. Number 3. Bride kidnapping. Perhaps you met your significant other in a pub or a bowling alley. There was a courting phase, a month or two of dating, and then after a few years, one of you got down on one knee and respectfully asked for the other's hand in marriage. Things are a little different in Kyrgyzstan. Bride kidnapping is still frequent in this mountainous Central Asian nation, and many young men fantasize about one day snatching their future brides as their father and grandpa did before them. Women are often abducted from the streets, forced into a getaway car, and transported to the family home of the prospective groom-to-be. The prospective bride is then detained by the family, who does all in their power to persuade her to marry their male suitor relative. Many kidnappings these days are of a humorous character, but other reports indicate that in rare circumstances, the kidnappings might result in cruelty, murder, or even suicide. Number 2. Thailand Vegetarian Festival. There is a strange practice in Southeast Asia that serves to honor animals in the region. This macabre ceremony takes place over 9 days in October and celebrates the Chinese idea that abstaining from meat and other stimulants during the 9th month of the Chinese lunar calendar promotes good health and serenity of mind. Ceremonies throughout the festival are supposed to offend the gods, and if nothing else, they definitely instill terror and awe in the hundreds of people who travel to Thailand each year to experience the event. Participants pierce themselves with deer antlers, knives, umbrellas, and a variety of other household things in order to serve as conduits for the gods. The festival's participants get more adventurous each year, and in 2011, 74 individuals were hurt, more than a sword through the cheek, and 1 death was reported. Number 1. Death Ritual of Tana Taraja. When it comes to death, some people take an unconventional approach. Death for the inhabitants of Taraja is not something to be grieved. Rather, it is seen as the culmination of life and an occasion worthy of celebration. The celebration of death in Tana Taraja is, without a doubt, one of the greatest and most intricate spectacles that anyone may observe in Indonesia. The Tarajans believe that when a person dies, the body decays, but the spirit lives on until a spectacular burial celebration. This ritual, known as Rambu Solo, may appear to be a time of grief, but the Tarajans regard it as a time of celebration, one that transports the spirit to the last destination of life, a final resting place known as Puyo. The mood is light, full of laughter and good humor, with a feast following a cattle sacrifice and performances lasting weeks. The magnitude of Rambu Solo is a sign of social standing for Tarajans. Therefore, the larger the party, the better. However, a large celebration costs a lot of money, and Tarajans may need to save for years to cover the costs. Thus, before the ceremony, the deceased's body would be kept in the house and treated as a sick house guest, known as an amakula. Surprisingly, the Amakula will be fed, talked to, and played with as if it were alive. This is a very natural and frequent behavior among the Tarajans. So if you're lucky enough to see this ritual, don't be alarmed if you stumble upon a dead body in someone's home. Tana Taraja's burial customs do not stop with Rambu Solo. Tarajans who believe in an afterlife will continue to honor the departed and preserve a bond between the living and the dead through a tautau. A tautau is a carved wood or bamboo effigy that portrays the deceased, generally matching the individual who died and may be found near their grave. Tarajans believe that the spirit of the deceased will continue to live on through the tautau and function as tomb guardians and saviors. These tautau may be seen near Kubaran Batu Limo, about 12 kilometers south of Rantapau. This tomb, which consists of 75 holes in a rock wall, some of which are filled with tautau, is said to have been created in the 16th century and is thus the second oldest in Taraja. If you enjoyed this video, you would love to see our video on the most mysterious buildings built by ancient civilizations. See you there!